So today's video is going to be my go-to foil pattern for creating a high contrast blonde without looking stripy and making sure it's still really blended. So for my foil pattern, I'm going to be doing technically 6 sections, but I'm going to start off with 5. I section off from ear to ear, and then in their part I do the top rectangle, and then up by the crown I just do a little sliver. It's not even really a rectangle or anything, but I just section off the crown. Normally I start in the front of the head, but today I'm starting in the back, and I'm doing 2 almost back-to-back sections right in the nape of the neck, just because she wanted to see a lot of blonde when she pulled her hair up. So I'm just taking a deep weave, and I'm going to foil that, and I still am balayaging. I'm not leaving a whole lot of root, but as you can see, I'm just feathering up into the root area. And that's just going to create a really seamless grow out so she doesn't have any harsh lines or anything. So like I said, I'm doing 2 back-to-back foils, and I am still weaving. You can slice if you want to see a lot of blonde, but I still wanted it to be blended, so I'm just doing 2 back-to-back weaving foils. Then I am taking the rest of that back section, excluding the top crown area that I have sectioned out, and I'm going to split that in half, and I'm just going to kind of be doing a regular highlight, as you kind of learn in beauty school, where you split the back section in half and then do your foils up the back. Since the back of the head is where most of the hair is, it's very easy to get carried away and do too thick of sections, so that's why I'm splitting the back into 2 and working into smaller sections, just to be sure that I'm still taking thin weaves and foiling up the back. So that's just what I'm doing on both sides, taking very thin, almost baby lights, and I'm going to foil the back. I am bringing this pretty high up towards the root area, but I'm still taking like a 1/4 of an inch and feathering it up, just as I did with the rest of the hair, just to make sure that we have a seamless grow out. With this top crown section, I'm going to be balayaging this part, and I'm doing this because we still want her to have a rooted look, and I just want to use her natural color for that. So I'm just going to kind of tease this section and take bigger weaves, and then I'm just making sure I'm leaving a little bit more of the root color and just balayaging that up and feathering it up, just so we have a little bit of depth still in that area. The reason why I didn't do this with the whole back section is because our end goal is to be really blonde, so this part lays over the rest of the hair, so that's why I chose this section to leave the depth in there, because she's still going to have some dimension, but all underneath is still going to be a little bit lighter, and so when she curls it, you're going to see all those colors in through the back. As you see, I turn my brush to the side and I make sure, especially with this section because it's the one that lays over the rest of the hair, I'm making sure that all the lines are blended out, and I'm also going over some pieces in the foils, and you just want to really make sure that you're being careful when overlapping bleach because her hair is previously bleached. Moving on to the sides, I'm just doing baby lights on the sides, and the first few foils I'm doing diagonal backs, and then I kind of switch my placing and do more horizontal sections, and that's just going to make sure that when she puts her hair up, it's really bright, but then she also has some dimension in the sides as well. The only time during this whole process that I'm overlapping the bleach is when I'm noticing that the section has a lot of darker blonde and golden pieces in the hair. Those are the only times that I am overlapping the bleach. On some of the pieces in the front that are already really light, I am not overlapping those just because we don't want any breakage and we want her hair to continue to be healthy. Another thing that I do is focus a lot of the product on the root area, and then I don't dip my brush back into my bowl. I basically just take whatever bleach is left on the brush and feather it down, and that makes sure that it's not really fully saturating the piece with bleach, but I am kind of blending it down just so we don't have any harsh lines or anything. Moving on to the most important part in my opinion, and that is the top section, and we did this off center because she normally does like a side part. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the first section and I'm doing a thicker weave, and the reason why I'm doing that is because she has a little bit of breakage, so I don't want to do a slice because I don't want to emphasize the breakage that she has. And I'm doing all my foils going forward because that's how it's going to be closest to the scalp, and it's going to just make sure that it's the brightest in the front. So I'm just taking a medium to thick weave, and I am going to start the foils back to back at first, and then as I move the foils towards the back of the head, I'm going to space them out a little bit further. This is going to make sure that she has the most brightness in the front, and then it's just going to cascade back into a little bit more depth and dimension towards the back of the head, and that is just how we kind of create that still balayage look. So that first section with her baby hairs, I did weave those, but then after that I did a few foils of slicing, and then I move on to weaving, and I make sure that towards the back of the head I'm just spacing out the foils a little bit farther than I did in the front. This technique is also going to create that money piece effect. Moving towards the back of the head, I'm also going to start teasing the sections a little bit and just doing some teasy lights, and that is also going to make sure that towards the back of the head we do have a little bit more depth than in the front. Another reason why I'm teasing this last section and making this one the biggest is because this comes from the very top of the crown section of her head, and this piece is going to lay over the sides of her hair and the back. So I really want to make sure that it looks good no matter which way it's falling, so that's why I teased it and I'm balayaging this piece. We did let her process for 30 minutes after this. And then I rinsed her out, toned her, did a little bit of a shadow root and a little hair treatment. And I'm going to show you the finished look, both straight and curled. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and I will see you in my next one.
Front outfit like 10 car wheels, cold ass bitch. I give raw chill, 10 different looks, so my lips so kill. I kiss him in the mouth, I feel all grills. Heat in the car, that smells on wheels. I was born to flex, diamonds on my neck. I like boarding jets, I like more than sex, but nothing in this world that I like more than checks. All I really wanna see is money. I don't really need it. All I